Wow, what's up, YouTube? It's your friend Breezy here. I was just driving home from a doctor's appointment and I have no kids. My husband's at home watching them and I decided to pull over because I don't want to rush home. Why don't I just do a story time? I'll do a story time and then I'll go home. It's just this is a productive thing to do too. This is me time. This is my time. I'm gonna take my seatbelt off for this. It's such a beautiful day today. Oh God, you'll never be able to see it. The store that I'm parked by is called BBW, and it's not plus size. Didn't they really miss the mark with that? One time I was at the grocery store and I was in line and I had a bunch of crap, and the guy behind me came up and he had one or two things, and so I was like, oh, you can go ahead of me, which I often do because that's the polite thing to do in my opinion. And he went in front of me, and then you know what he said to me? He goes,
"Just so you know, you're a BBW."
I was like, ew, don't say that to someone. And he was like,
"Why? It's a good thing."
I was like, yeah, I know, but it's not polite to comment on people's bodies. And he was like,
God, just try to compliment someone. Jeez.
I was like, yeah, bitch. And the cashier saw the whole thing go down, and it was pretty silly. And moving on, this story is about childbirth. My first one. I have two children. Yeah, so I have two kids. I have a 4-month-old and a 4-year-old. So this birth story is about the 4-year-old. My birth with her was treacherous. Treacherous. I was 9 months pregnant and very eager and nervous to meet my little one. Everything had been good up until that point, super healthy. You typically go in for a final ultrasound just to make sure the baby's looking good, everything's hunky-dory up in there. They had decided that my amniotic fluid was low. The ultrasound tech was like, you got to go to the hospital right now. They're gonna have to induce you. You have to have this baby. And I was not planning on having a baby that day. I really, really wasn't. And this was in the morning. So me and my husband went home. We got our bag, and next thing you know, we're going to the hospital. And I'm getting induced. I'm in the hospital, and they gave me another ultrasound while I was there. And the guy was like, yeah, your amniotic fluid doesn't look low, but we're just gonna induce you anyway because you're here, right? And you want to meet your baby, right? And I was like, oh my god, yeah, of course. So that was kind of a foul move, and you'll hear why in later on if you keep listening. Okay, anyway. So we're there, we're excited. I'm thinking if you get induced, you're gonna have a baby right away. That's what happens, right? You get induced and then the shit progresses and then out comes a baby. No, dude. Anyway, I got induced, and you know how my induction started? Do you want to know what they did? Do you want to know? Okay. So they get us set up in my room. And it's a pretty nice room, I'm feeling it's big, it's big, it's a little bit retro, but that's my style, so I was yeah. The nurses come in and they're like, okay, we're gonna start with your induction. We're gonna do a cervical catheter. I'm like, oh yeah, what's that? Oh, well, we stick this tube into your into your cervix. Yeah, and then we pump it up like a balloon. And then we'll give you some Pitocin, which is a pill, and it will, get your contractions going, etc., which will cause you to dilate even further, and then you'll have a baby. All right, that sounds fine. Let's do it. So I don't know what everybody else's cervical catheter has ever entailed, but mine entailed my body being hoisted. Like, they slid one of those big rectangular puke buckets upside down under my ass. A literal plastic bucket. Like, I was like, is this the high-tech way to do this, ladies? Is it? Because if it is, I mean, I'm fine with it. But so it was a little bit of a struggle because, like, they had to really, like, hoist my groin and, like, ass up. When I recall this story, I actually just died. So anyway, my butt's hoisted on a plastic puke bucket, and there's 3 nurses, and in order to do this, they have to... God, I wish that I could remember the name of the duckbill that goes in your vagina and opens. The duckbill? The duckbill? The speculum? The spatula? It's not that. The metal duckbill that opens up to expose your beautiful cervix. Apparently, there was a major lack of these metal duckbill things, and they only had plastic ones. And the 3 of them, like, couldn't crank it open enough. They were all, like, poking around, and they were, like, literally...
Like, hey, man, give me a shot. Let me try.
It was like trying to, like, fucking open a crazy lock and, like, all your friends are drunk and everybody's trying. That's how I felt. Okay, but I didn't tell you this. They turned all the lights off and they just shined a flashlight on my vagina. Just into it. There was, like, one holding the light. What is it like? It's like, you know, trying to help somebody fix something and you're holding a flashlight over it, and it's just... But it was with my fucking vagina. I was like, this is the weirdest. And they were all like, yeah, okay, we got it. And then one of them's like,
Where's the metal fucking duckbill?
and then the other ones were like,
This is the only one we have.
I was like, where am I? Why am I hoisted on a puke bucket? What is going on here? After a lot of trial and tribulation, they got it in and started to pump me up. I wish they were like,
Okay, I'm going to pump you up.
I'm sorry. Oh, that would have been good. That would have been great. So I'm like I'm going for it. And they're also like, by the way, you can't eat now. You can't eat because you are induced and you might end up having a C-section and you can't have any food in your stomach, so we can't let you eat. And I was like, all right, whatever, because I'm still thinking this thing's gonna dilate me to like 3 centimeters, and then I'll take the Pitocin and then it's gonna be on, like Donkey Kong. But that was not the case. Not the case at all. So there I am, cathetered up. Mind you, I had my husband there and my doula, who was amazing. Back to this angle. So, I'm there. I get the Pitocin, or I get the catheter. I get the Pitocin, and it's on. My water breaks, and I also the whole time I was pregnant, I was hoping that my water would break somewhere cool. Be like, yeah, I was at the Secretary of State and my water broke and they let me jump to the head of the line because they knew, I was having a baby. Whoa, gotta stay on track here. Things feel like they're progressing for me and they look like they're progressing. There's, lots of crap going on the screen. And then suddenly, all of the stuff shut down. All of the computers and beeping machines and strappy ones, they all just stopped. And I had to be moved in the middle of having a baby down the hall to a different room. They had to re-strap me up. But after 3 days of this, they decided that it was time to give me a C-section. No, they didn't let me eat any of that time. Yes, I was having crazy labor that whole time. Yes, I was really freaking exhausted and out of my mind. So they decide to give me a C-section, but I have to wait until my doctor's done with her workday to get it. So it's like noon on Wednesday. And they were like, yeah, she'll be in around like 5 or 6. And I was like, all right, cool. They were like, well, we'll just give you the epidural. Because I didn't want to have an epidural. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but like at that point, I was just like, I just really want to do this natural. So that was the other part I didn't mention, is that up until that point, it was all me, baby. And so I got the epidural, and like the guy who gave me the epidural was like asking about my tramp stamps. And like, that's another thing, dudes. Like, just don't comment on any body parts. Like, what the hell, dude? I have just been in labor for like a long time, and you want to talk to me about my freaking tramp stamp? And I don't even call it a tramp stamp. I call it a tramp totem, because there's a lot going on. And for me to have to delve into that would have been even more exhausting. I didn't have it in me, okay? So, good old doctor, anesthesia guy, gives me my epidural. Everything's going fine. I wait out the day, and my doctor comes, and I get wheeled into the operating room. Well, while I am on the operating table, guess what I start doing? Puking. I start puking, and I was laying down, and they're just like, yeah, just turn your head. So I'm just like turning my head, like, bleh. And like there was like a lady that was like suctioning, you know, like the dentist suctioner, like suctioning the puke out, just like wiping my face. Bless her heart. And then they realized that I was puking too much, and they had to just immediately knock me out. So I don't remember the rest of it, but I do remember waking up and asking if my child had all of her fingers and toes. And then I saw her for a brief moment. And then I recalled out loud the dream that I had while they had put me out, because I had a dream while they put me out. Like, even though I was probably only out for like 15 minutes or less, I had this very vivid dream that I was driving in my car in a kind of a rural area, and I'm driving around on these roads, and there's really no cars around. It's just me kind of cruising. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drop off a radon test, because I used to do that at one of my old jobs. I used to conduct radon tests, and my dream was about dropping off a radon. I'm in my car driving, and then suddenly, guess what happened while I'm driving? Poof! My water breaks, but instead of water, it's confetti. And that's the honest to God truth. That was my dream. And I said it out loud to like the 20 people in the OR. I was just like, I was like trying to drop off this radon, and then my water broke and it was confetti, and they were all like, ha 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 ha. And then they had to stitch me back up. So they had to knock me back out. So they knocked me back out, and they took my baby to whatever, the ICU, because she was like 39 weeks, and like, I guess that's like, they do that for the first several hours to monitor them, whatever. So when I awoke, I was in the operating recovery triage. But like at that time, it was like 8 p.m. And so I was in this triage alone. Nobody else was there. And all the lights were off except for like the light over my little curtained off portion. And I awoke to a man named Mark diapering me. He let me know that I had a morphine button in my hand, to which I looked at my hand, which was clutching a morphine button. And I started to press the shit out of that bitch. I was like, dang, doc. But then he was like, yeah, you can like do it 3 times and then it'll stop for like, you know, an hour or something. I don't even remember, but I was just like, okay. And even then, I was super out of it. But I remember being so polite to Mark. I was like, what is your name? He was like diapering me. I'm like, who are you? He's like, my name's Mark. And I was like, thank you so much, Mark, for taking care of me. He was like, yeah, no problem, lady. Like, but shout out to you, Mark. Even though it was really like Twin Peaks shit, for real. I was just like, this is weird. But then they wheeled me up to my room, my recovery room, and I was super, 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 super anxious to see my baby, of course, and to hold my baby, and to nurse too, because I really wanted to breastfeed. And like, you gotta get that baby on your teat ASAP. Like, it is so crucial. Trying to like get to my baby, and the nurse calls up to the whatever nursery, and they're like, yeah, like, have him come up. So my husband wheels me up. Manny's wheeling me up to the nursery, and I'm so excited. I'm freaking out. And we get to the nursery, and the nurse goes,
oh, there must have been a miscommunication. They're wheeling your baby down to you right now.
so I'm like, oh fuck. So like, I'm like, Manny, like, get me back to the elevator. Like, we gotta get back. I gotta get to my baby. And Manny's like, yeah, okay, all right. Manny gets me in the elevator. He was pretty slick about this. Instead of pressing our floor number, he pressed 1. Because as the elevator's door opened on floor 1, guess what's right in front of it? A Wendy's. And Manny was ready for dinner. So when we landed on floor 1, he goes,
Hey, we're already here. Let me just grab some food.
and I was like, if you stop right now and get some food, I will murder you. And he was
Like, no, and it'll be so quick. I mean, it's fast food. Like, it'll be so fast.
So he wheels me up to the like entrance of the Wendy's. People are looking at me like, you poor woman. Like, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you look sad, and somebody's getting Wendy's. And I was pissed too, because I hadn't eaten since Monday, and it was Wednesday night, and I was so hungry, but they told me I couldn't eat because I was puking on the operating table. They were like, well, we're not ready for you to do that. You have to like start with liquids, and then you have to eat like a Jello, and then like we'll take it from there. And I was like, dude, I just want to eat. I want to eat. And I was so mad at Manny. So he went to Wendy's, and when he got back, I just like broke down crying. And it was like a cry, like a close family member had died. Like, that was how I was feeling. And like, yeah, it's hormones too, but I was also like PO'd to the fullest. So we're in the elevator, and there's like other people in the elevator, and I'm just like ugly crying, and I'm just not holding back. I'm just like, you got a hamburger, and I haven't seen my daughter yet. And like, the people in the elevator are like, whoa, dude, like, what? And I'm just bawling, and we get to the room, and Manny's like, he didn't realize really how insane I was, and so he like was feeling really bad about it. The nurse came in, and she was like, what's wrong? And I was like, you got a fucking hamburger, and I'm so hungry, and I haven't seen my baby yet. And she was like, all right, it's okay, like, I'll get you something, I'll find something. And so she found a little side salad that somebody had tucked away, plain iceberg lettuce with like 2 shavings of a carrot, and I was just like, yeah. God. Finally, I see my baby. It was miraculous. It was beautiful. She was the coolest looking little bambina I'd ever seen.